Hey everyone, Rob from Daisho Tactical, and today we're going to talk about clearing stairwells. Stairwells are kind of a trouble area. Everybody always talks about doorways and thresholds and talks about how they're fatal funnels, and they're really not. You know, that fatal funnel works both ways because you can use it against the people who are on the inside of the room. Stairwells are different. Stairwells genuinely are a fatal funnel, and they're very dangerous, and you're at a huge disadvantage whenever you're traveling through them trying to do any sort of room clearing. So the first thing you got to keep in mind about stairwells is it's never something I'm going to go into on a known threat. Meaning, if I know for a fact there's somebody at the top of the stairwell with like a weapon pointed down the stairwell waiting to shoot the first thing they see, I'm never going to go in that stairwell. You're just too big a disadvantage. It's kind of one of those things where I'm clearing something. My objective is on the other side of the stairwell, either upstairs or downstairs, and it's an unknown or known safe, and I'm just going to clear it as safely as I can. If I know for a fact there's somebody there waiting to shoot me, I'm not heading to that stairwell. I'm going to find some other way to defeat that. Either tear the wall off the side of the building, or deploy gas or a drone, or some way other than me traveling through that space to get that done. Next thing when it comes to dealing with stairwells, gravity gets a vote. I know it's kind of a common sense thing, but I would much prefer to go down steps than up steps. Another important reason it's a lot easier to clear down than up is that you can see your feet and your objective when you're clearing down. Most people don't think about it, but if you're going up steps, people tend to look at their feet while they're going up steps to make sure they hit every step. You don't even notice it when you're just living your daily life. But when you're trying to do some sort of tactical clearing and your rifle is pointed up as you're going up steps, because that's where you're going, where you need to keep your eye on the threat, you can't look down and see your feet. And therefore, it's easy to get tripped up. As opposed to when you're going down, both your feet are down and where you're going, where you're trying to clear, is also down. So it's not a problem. Additionally, when you're throwing devices like flashbangs or gas, obviously gravity helps. You want it going down towards the area you're trying to clear it into versus up. I've had many operations where we were throwing flashbangs up into a higher level only for it to bounce off the top step or bounce off the wall on the landing and come right back at the team. It happens, but it's to be avoided, but it is what it is. So gravity gets a vote and we prefer to go down. So there's several different types of stairwells. Okay, the first thing, there's open stairwells and closed stairwells. Now that's pretty simple. Closed stairwells just means there's walls all the way down on either side of the steps. And open means it's wide open, either open on one side or open on both sides. Those are really tricky and in fact they're extremely dangerous. And then there's also commercial and residential. You can have open and closed in both of those. So let's start with commercial stairwells. If you have a wide commercial stairwell and it's a closed stairwell, which means there's walls on the inside, it's really simple. You just treat it like any other room clearing situation. You're just going to move to your next vertical pivot point, clear around it, and just move on up. It's a little bit trickier because you can't see your feet, but you don't have to worry about kind of back clearing the next landing behind you as you would with an open stairwell. Now, open stairwells are a little bit trickier. First off, in a commercial setting, there's going to be that kind of center space, that center channel that goes all the way up the stairwell, and you can peek up and kind of look all the way up. You'll see a lot of times in movies, I've noticed there's always like a gunfight when like the good guy's chasing the bad guy up the stairs, and he peeks in that stairwell to see if the bad guy's up there, and the bad guy bucks a couple rounds at him, and they get in a little quick gunfight through that little gap. That is always a horrible idea, okay? In the sims that I've done it with, it almost never ends well for the good guy, okay? Just avoid it. Your armor doesn't work that way pointing up. It's very awkward to shoot straight up through that gap. It's a relatively small gap. It just doesn't work well. There's nothing to be gained by looking through that damn thing. Nothing. I always tell people, stick to the outside of the stairwell, okay? You're gonna wanna clear up to the next landing, clear kind of slow, and then there's a certain point as you're traveling up those steps, and I got some B-roll I'm gonna throw in here, that you have to kind of turn around and look up to the next landing, because if it's an open stairwell, you're exposed to that next landing. When you get to that point, I always tell people to use the sides of your feet to feel the next tread on the next step so you can not trip over yourself and keep your eyes on that next point. Finally, when you travel through the center, when you're on the landing and you're traveling through the center of the landing, move through that space quickly because you're exposed all the way up. Anybody on the subsequent landings looking down is going to spot you. So you want to travel through that center area very quickly, and then once again, you're moving on the outside of the stairwell up to the next landing. It's really kind of a sequence. It's kind of tricky if you don't practice it every once in a while, learning how to walk sideways and kind of clear up behind you, but it can be done. It just takes a little bit of practice. Clearing down in a commercial stairwell is a lot easier because you can see your feet, and just like going up, stick to the outside and don't hang out in the landing in the middle. So residential stairwells come in kind of a big variety. Modern construction, closed is a lot more common than open, and in modern construction you'll see a lot more doors at the top and the bottom of the stairwells, which does make it a little bit easier to stay concealed. But just remember, the stairwell is essentially kind of a cattle chute. It's really a big danger area, and you don't want to put a ton of bodies in there, because if it goes sideways, that's just more people that are going to be falling down those stairs and ending up on top of each other. 2 or 3 guys in a stairwell is plenty. Open residential stairwells are particularly dangerous because you are exposed the entire time you're going down those steps. In a lot of older construction, you'll see these basement steps. They go down in the basement, they drop right in the center of the basement, and your legs are exposed to all sides of the basement as you're heading down there. That is an absolute non-starter. I've done over probably 900 high-risk search warrants at this point, and I've never figured out a safe or smart way to do that shy of throwing a drone down there. I've gone fast, I've gone slow, everything in between. It's just there's no safe way to do it. It never feels warm and fuzzy. When I run a ballistic shield, I'll flip the shield over and protect my legs. But if I'm exposed on both sides, I gotta pick the side that I think the bad guy is probably on. It's just not a strong position to be in. It's not a strong way to clear things. So throwing a distraction device down there before you travel down those steps is probably a good idea. But a lot of people neglect their basements, and in older houses, there could be a lot of crap on the ground, a lot of dirt and dust, and you don't want to kick that up, because then one, makes it harder to see, and 2, now you're breathing that shit in. So flashbangs are kind of hit and miss when it comes to basements. Really think about it before you throw one down there. Important point about either going upstairs or downstairs in the structure is make sure you bring enough help with you when you go to that other level. When you're all on the same floor in a house, it's really easy to communicate with everybody else that's on that level. But as soon as you go upstairs or downstairs, it's kind of like you've moved to a completely different structure, and communication becomes extremely difficult. I don't ever go to an upstairs or downstairs without at least 2 other guys with me. I want to bring them enough help so at least I can hold that initial area if something goes sideways. So that's all I got on stairwells. Just remember, they are a danger area and you are very exposed when you travel through them. Bring enough people with you so you can handle whatever's on the other side. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, hit the little bell. You guys know how YouTube works. You can also find me on Rumble. Better yet, if you really like my content, support my channel by buying some merchandise. Go to my website, daishotactical.com. I sell a bunch of stuff there, mostly tactical slings and shooting bags, like this one here. It's a 2-point bungee sling I make. All these slings I make myself by hand at my workbench. I also do custom work upon request if you have something specific you need. Thanks for watching.